All right. Hi, everyone. It's your favorite health and fitness coaches, KP and Dava. Welcome to tonight's episode of Fit Talks. We're so excited to have you guys here. Just to give you a little bit of background about the show, we are two health and fitness coaches, like I said, who are just super passionate about living our healthiest lives. And we want to share that passion for, working out and eating right, just taking care of your body. We want to share that passion with as many people as possible. So go and find at least one person and invite them to the show tonight. Just to give you a little bit of background about myself, my name is Clenesia. I've been a health and fitness coach for a little under a year, but I've been on my fitness journey for about 10 years off and on. I got really serious about it about 2.5 years ago and decided that, you know what, I need to just start living right, taking care of my body. I noticed that I just felt better overall, inside and out, mentally, physically, when I was on track with my healthy eating, especially, and my workouts. So I decided to become a coach because I fell in love with it. I was always kind of telling my friends, oh, this is a cool program you should try. Or I do this, and, this is what I try to eat. They were always asking me questions. So I just figured, why not jump into it and do it for a living? So I'm a full-time coach now. I am also a certified PiYo instructor, PiYo Live instructor, which is pretty exciting. David, do you want to tell everybody a little bit about you before we jump into tonight's show?
What do you want to know? All the good stuff? I have been a coach now for 2 years. I'm celebrating my 2-year anniversary this week, so yay!
Yay!
And it has been a really incredible journey for me. I never thought that I would be doing anything fitness related as a job or a career. In fact, I was just telling Clenesia about this before the call and how I was like, no, it's just kind of like a side hustle for me kind of thing. And here I am 2 years later, still in the mix, still doing this full time because I just have such a passion for learning more about health and fitness, learning how the body works, and really just for me personally, discovering like how to be my best self and how to feel and operate at that peak of performance. I know that if I'm not taking care of myself, that I can't be the best mom that I can be, I can't be the best friend that I can be, and I can't, just be as productive as I want to be in life. So that's really what got me started on this journey, was wanting to really better myself so that I can accomplish more down the road and kind of prevent all those family medical history things that so many of us have lurking in the background, ready to catch up to us when we get old enough, or, let things slide enough. So I really wanted to prevent that. Really wanted to set a great example for my daughter, who is 6 going on 7, more like going on 17. That's another story for another blab for another day. But I really just wanted to set a great example for her, so that she is growing up with all the right knowledge, right information, and really having that solid foundation of being healthy. With that being said, our last show, we do this every Tuesday at 9 o'clock, was about tracking. And I have to say, for me personally, Clenesia, I don't know if you want to agree or not, but I think it was like our best show just because there was so much content. I mean, there are so many different ways to track your journey, to track your progress, and to measure success when it comes to health and fitness. And so many people only look to the scale, and that was something that we really wanted to hone in on, was not relying solely on the scale and really defining what success looks overall to you, whether that is sleeping better or, feeling better or getting off certain medications. Is that losing inches or feeling better in your clothes, losing a whole dress size? Is that being able to run further or faster or longer? All of those things really go into a more holistic and, greater picture of what success is, and tracking, and, are you feeling stronger? Are you lifting heavier weights? Are you doing more reps? All of those things, right? So that is tracking on the fitness side of things. Today we're going to take tracking to the nutrition side and really look at meal planning. And Clenesia's going to tell us more about what we're going to talk about tonight.
And I'm super excited. I don't know if you guys saw my little, there's me.
I did see the shimmy.
But food in general just makes me excited. So tonight we're going to talk about meal planning. So I feel like in theory, this seems like it's something that's very simple, but I think there's a lot to it. And so I'm excited to jump right in and tell you guys a little bit more about it. First of all, we're going to focus on why it's even important, because I think a lot of people completely overlook this. You don't think about meal planning as much when you go to the store. I know a lot of people make grocery lists. Some people do, some people don't. And that's kind of the extent of meal planning for most people. But we're going to show you guys how and why you should take it to kind of the next level. And yeah, I know that sounds like a lot more work, but it actually is going to make your life so much easier in the end. And honestly, like I mentioned this last week, you're going to hear it tonight. You're going to hear it from me probably in many, many shows from here on. I am Queen Lazy Cook. I don't want anything to be hard. So trust me when I say this is going to make your life easier, okay?
I want you to name your first cookbook that.
Queen Lazy Cook?
Yes, please.
I need a show on YouTube that's like Lazy Cooking with Quenesia or something. I don't know. Each show is like 10 minutes long because that's how long I take to cook. Okay, so let's just jump right in. I want to talk about a couple of the biggest reasons why it's important to meal plan. I would say, so monthly I run healthy eating groups just to introduce a broader audience to what it means to eat healthy, how they can do it. And I always like to ask people, okay, so what are your biggest misconceptions? Like what are your thoughts about healthy eating? What do you think of? And they always end up being misconceptions. I love it. So the first thing, I think the biggest thing I always hear is that, you know, I don't eat healthy because it's expensive. And one of the things that I always say is, well, yeah, sure. Okay. It depends on how you do it. It can be really expensive. If you are sitting up at Whole Foods with your shopping list and you are buying everything organic, yeah, it's going to get expensive pretty fast. If you decide, you know what, today is the day I'm going to start eating healthy, and you overhaul your entire kitchen, you throw out everything in the fridge and the pantry, and you go to the store to start over, yeah, that's going to be pretty expensive. But what I try to tell people that I work with is that it really doesn't have to be. There are a lot of different ways that you can make healthy eating work for your life. It doesn't matter what level of income you're at, you can do it. I know several years ago, before I started working full time, I didn't have a whole lot of money to spend at the store. And my budget for the grocery store was literally $30 a week. Like, really couldn't afford much more than that. And I found ways to eat healthy. So we're going to share some of those ways with you. But, you know, some of the easiest things that you can do are make use of the weekly sales paper at your local grocery store. I'm sitting here. I've got to do some planning for next week because I've got a busy weekend coming up and I'm not going to have time to do it. So I'm going to do my planning from now. And so I'm already looking at the weekly planner just to see, okay, what's going to be on sale? Because that's going to be the stuff that I'm getting. It's generally the stuff that's in season, right? I also tell people not to be afraid of food that's in the frozen aisle. You know, a lot of times people always want to go for what's fresh. And I think that's great. That's awesome if you can do it. But foods in the frozen section, fruits and vegetables, as long as they don't have any added sugars or sauces or things like that, as long as the only ingredient is whatever that vegetable is. So if you're getting frozen green beans, the only ingredient should be fresh green beans. You're good. You know, you're fine. And that's often an easy way to buy in bulk and spend less money and still get something healthy. So there's so many different ways that you can save money, and healthy eating doesn't have to be expensive, okay? And so when you're planning, when you're doing your planning, when you're looking at things like your weekly planner, that helps you save money in the long run. You'll be a more efficient shopper. One of the other huge misconceptions that I think I come across when I'm talking to people about healthy eating is that, you know, as long as you're just eating healthy, you're fine as you're working towards your goals. But you kind of have to think about it on a little bit of a deeper level, because just eating healthy isn't going to get you where you want to go. Think about it. Is your goal weight loss? Is your goal putting on more muscle? You have to eat to fit your goals. So for me, for example, one goal that I'm working towards is putting on more muscle, okay? So I know that, yes, I need to eat healthy overall, but I need to make sure that I have a lot more protein in my diet. I can't just continue to follow, the weight loss diet that I was following, a couple of years ago when I was looking to drop a few pounds. No, I'm trying to build muscle. So I really need to focus on, okay, let me gain more protein. Let me, just make sure I'm eating enough food anyway. If somebody is trying to, let's go with lose weight, you're going to have to eat a little bit differently. So you do have to think through what your goals are and not just eat healthy. You need to get the foods that are going to give you, whether it's the energy, whether it's the protein after your recovery, whatever it is that's going to get you towards your goal. That's what you need to be thinking through meals and snacks to complement. Okay. So Dava, there are a couple of other things, important things that I think it'd be great for you to share based on like what you've come across with some people that you've worked with. What are some of the other important things that people should think about when it comes to meal planning? Why should they do it?
When people tell me that they don't meal plan, I'm just like, why? You
were so real when you just said that.
Huh?
You were so real just now.
I mean, like, they never have a good reason. They're just like, I don't. And I'm looking at them. It's like saying, I don't brush my teeth because. And I'm like, you got to give me a better reason than you just don't, because there are so many added benefits to doing it, just like you were talking about. One reason people give me that they don't do it is because they don't have time. And I look at them and I'm like, it's so counterintuitive, because meal planning actually helps you save time. If you are struggling to find time to meal prep or like go to the store and like do all those things, the first thing you're going to want to start doing is meal planning. Like Clinisha said, with getting the circulars out and how that saves you money. If you have a meal plan in front of you and you're looking at your days of the week and you've got your calendar and your schedule and you're like, okay, I know I have a meeting this day and I can eat in my office that day, or I'm going to be on the road at that time. You can plan out exactly what meals you have, even take your own temperature. What kind of foods are you in the mood for? And you can plan for that. Now you have this, I like to do mine in a grid or like in an Excel sheet. So you have this like grid or this roadmap for your success in front of you. And it will literally tell you what you need to go to the grocery store and shop for. When I was a full-time PR girl, I used Peapod. If you are in, I believe it's like in the Northeast region, you know about the giant grocery delivery service, or Stop and Shop if you're really far north. They will deliver groceries to you. There's also like Instacart and other services, and now like Amazon delivers non-perishable groceries and things like that, and soap.com, and so on and so forth. There are services out there in your area. You just got to Google it. I would take my meal plan and then go on and I could check everything I wanted to buy. And this saved me so much time. And then I also had a map in front of me and I would print it out. And when it was time for meal prep, put that right down in front of me. Okay, now I know exactly what I need to cook. I know what I'm washing. I know what I'm pairing with this, that, and third. It saved me so much time. People tell me they don't have time to meal plan. I'm like, you can't figure out what 3 meals you want to eat throughout the week, like in half an hour? Like, is it really that hard? I think people like complicate it in their own mind and they make it so much bigger than it is. Or maybe you're like used to cooking like really elaborate, dishes. And yeah, that would be overwhelming to me too, because then it's like cooking a feast every day of the week. But as far as I can tell, no real person that's on a real schedule does that. Like Clinisha said, she is the queen of lazy cooking.
Hey.
Personally, if you're really dedicated to your goal and you're really tight on time, eat the same thing all week long. Just switch it up the next week. That's what I would do. Like, I would eat ground turkey all week until I'm blue in the face. Now, you can eat ground turkey like so many different ways, but it's going to be ground turkey all week, like, and it only gets but so exciting. So then next week, okay, switch it up to chicken or like flank steak or salmon or tilapia or whatever, what have you. There are ways to get that variety in there. Um, and that's the other good thing about meal planning is that when you do have a meal plan, you can look at, okay, if I'm going to have steak this night, I know I can, double the portion of steak and use leftover for a salad lunch the next day so that you can have those options for variety if you do get bored with your meals really easy. The other way that meal planning is really important is that it really does help you eat healthier. And in those ways that I just said, like, you have your whole plan in front of you, you go to the store, you're going to be less distracted by like the other things that are in the store, like the pastries and the junk food and the sugary cereals. You're like, nope, I'm getting whole grain waffles and I'm getting this lean protein and I'm getting my grapes and my apples from the produce section and I've got my all natural cheese from the dairy and my eggs. Like, you're on a mission. You have a list, like, and you have a budget. Like, this is not a free for all. Like, keep it real with yourself. Know what your budget is. Like, you know what your finances are. We don't need to be in your pockets, but it doesn't have to be rocket science. So it really does help you keep you on track as far as eating healthier and then reaching those goals. And like Quenesia was saying, you have to eat for what your goals are. I know a lot of times, and this is why it's also kind of good to have a coach who can give you these tips and tricks. I always tell my clients that, like, if you're eating to lose weight, carbs are not bad. Carbs are still your friend. You just want complex carbs. But I always have my clients eat carbs earlier in the day. That way they're burning them throughout the day and they really give you energy and they fuel your workouts. So I know that I can't do every workout fasted. Sometimes I need to eat first. So what am I going to eat? I'm going to give my body the fuel it needs, and I'm going to mix a complex carb with the healthy fat. And so like my pre-workout is usually like a whole grain waffle with peanut butter on it. Really tasty, really great first thing in the morning, but it's also really great to like sustain you through a really intense workout. So if like you're a runner or anything like that, doing really intense cardio, that's something great to have right before you work out. It's not too heavy in your stomach. 15, 20 minutes later, you're ready to go. Bing, bam, boom, right? If you're trying to gain weight, you want to make sure you have that protein before and after your workout so that you're replenishing those cells that you just tore. These are not things that are intuitive to the average person who doesn't have a health and fitness background. So it's great to, get Quenesia on your side and be like, hey, Quenesia, these are my goals. What tips can you give me? And she'll be like, girl, let me tell you. And then coach can break it down for you and make it more simple. You don't have to go to school and get a whole degree in, sports nutrition and, physiology and all this other stuff to be able to reach your goals. But it's great to have that support system behind you.
Absolutely. Something that you said reminded me of when I was trying to train my mom how to meal plan. Mm-hmm. And she has never been that type of person. Like, going to the store as a child, maybe we had a list, but it really didn't matter because we just bought whatever. Mm-hmm. So she's basically still like that to this day. And so the first time I took her to the store, and we had sat down together, and I was like, okay, what are we going to be making this week? And we made our plan. These are things that we're going to snack on. We're good. This is our list. So we go to the store, we got our list, and she's like, oh wait, but should we get some of the, and I'm just like, no, is it on the list? Well, it's not, but then we're not getting it. Okay. Go to the next aisle. But wait, should we get some of this? I'm just like, is it on the list? No. So sometimes it's just a habit too. You've got to break yourself out of that cycle of I need all of these things. Because that's another way we end up spending a lot more money is we just get whatever. We just get whatever our brain thinks we need. And most of the time that stuff is just going to sit there and either go bad or just be there forever because you don't really need it. You didn't have a meal to
big money saving area is that when you shop efficiently and you spend your time in the store efficiently, you will save money efficiently because you won't be wasting that food from it going bad because you didn't know that you had avocados in the back of the fridge and, there was this meat that got pushed to the side because you didn't know what you were going to do with it. You had to plan together. And we grew up in such an interesting generation. I don't know, we could probably tell the best stories of growing up and how it was so counterproductive to healthy eating. My parents to this day are still they just have staples in their home, but they will have a house full of food. I'm going to go see them in about a week. They will have a house full of food. There will be nothing to eat. I'm just like, what is your cabinets are full, the fridge is full, but there is nothing to eat in here. What do you have?
Nothing goes together.
Or my mom will be
there's no pancakes.
I don't know what to have for dinner. I'm like, well, what do you have? And she's just like, I don't know. And I'm just looking at her like, and they have a fridge, they have a deep freezer. And I'm just like, what is going on? I don't get it. How does this work? So, yeah. And then I also know people who will shop as their hunger dictates, if that makes any sense. Like they don't get food in the house. They just go to the store when they feel hungry and buy what they want at that moment. And I am just like, I'm the type of person, I don't want to cook when I'm hungry, let alone go to the store hungry. I'm like, how does that work? How are you eating towards your goals? How do you know, like, for me, on my meal plan, I can only have certain types of healthy fats once a day. So it's like, well, if you just use your cheese in your eggs in the morning, like, and now you want chicken parmesan at night, like, how does that work? You have to have a plan so that you know, and it also makes tracking easier too. So we talked about tracking last week, and as far as like eating an eating diary and doing all these things, if you have your meal plan, it's like copy and paste that into your diary. And when we do our challenge groups, I have everybody check in with their meals every day. If you made a meal plan with me at the beginning of the week, super easy. Copy and paste. Be like, Deva, I ate everything we said we were going to eat.
That's so true.
I love that. What I missed.
I love that you brought up not going to the store to shop when you're hungry, because I'm sure we've all done that before. But I also, something that I was guilty of a lot when I was working, out of the house in an office, and I wasn't meal planning, I would come home from work and I wouldn't have done any prepping or anything on the weekend. And I'd just be like, I'm hungry, but I'm tired. Work killed me. I'm going to the store. And what's the fastest thing? Because girlfriend is not going to cook when she gets home. Frozen section, lean cuisine. So I don't know how many days in a row. Like, okay, maybe once in a while, like you slip up, cool, go grab your frozen meal. But literally it'd be like weeks on end. Oh, I'm going to go again. Oh, it's on sale? Let me just get 5 this time. And like that would be my dinner. And I only ate like 1 or 2 flavors. So literally eating the same little lasagna or whatever for dinner every single night. So, and those, okay, like I know a lot of people eat those things, but it all goes back to our healthy eating. And even though they're low in calories, that's about all they are. Yeah. So I always talk to my clients about paying attention to the ingredients. Because it's always Clinique, is this healthy? Clinique, can I eat this? It only has 300 calories, but I'm just like, what do the ingredients say? Tell me what they say. You turn that box over and you see that it has 700 different things in it.
It's not clean.
It's probably not what you should be eating, And so that's what I try to get people to pay attention to. So don't focus all on calories. Like you want to know what you're eating too. So don't put yourself in that position where you're forced to go get the easiest thing, your 3-minute microwave meal,
That was one thing my dad was really good about growing up. He didn't want us to eat anything that we couldn't pronounce on the ingredient list. But like that really only applied to like Pringles, in his opinion. And I'm like, there's so many things on so many boxes that we have in this house I can't pronounce. That's the one food you're gonna harp on. But like that whole concept of you need to be able to pronounce the things that are in your food is a really good like jumping off point or like starter if you're really new to eating clean and unprocessed foods.
Yeah.
If it sounds like a chemical, it probably is a chemical and you should probably stay away.
Yeah. Yeah, and I always tell people, like, sometimes you're going to find things that are not bad for you that you can't pronounce, but at the most basic level, if you are just starting out, focus on eating things in their most whole form possible. So when you turn it over, it shouldn't have a bunch of chemicals and colors and artificial this and that in it.
Yellow dye.
So, Deva, I would love to know a little bit more about the process that you go through each week. So when you sit down and you say, okay, I'm going to think through my meals for next week, can you describe what your process is like for doing that?
Sure. Personally, I will meal plan for the whole week, and I usually do this on Friday night. I do it Fridays because Saturday is usually my shopping day, and then I like to meal prep on Sundays. And I'm the type of person where I don't want to do everything all in one day. I don't have time like that, and it's just not my interest. So I try to break it up so it seems less daunting, you know? So it's like less of a chore, and it's a little bit fun. So the first thing I do is look and see what I have on hand. Did I have anything that I have left over? I'm in a really high calorie bracket, and I'm the type of person where you're gonna find this really weird. I don't like to eat, like chewing is tedious to me. So oftentimes I will not eat all of the food I was supposed to eat in a day. So towards the end of the week, that leaves me with leftovers, right? So I will look and see what I have on hand already. I can see you laughing
I'm
at me.
sorry. I'm sorry. That was hilarious.
This is a video chat. Just like if I didn't have to eat for fuel or for nutrition, I would like skip it altogether. Like why? Why do you feel hungry? That's just how I feel about it. But that's not to say I don't enjoy food. I love food. It tastes great when it's cooked well. It's just the whole chewing process, tedious. Anywho, and so I'll look and see what I have on hand, what's left over from the previous week. I try to buy non-perishable things when they're on sale, so I'll maybe buy them in bulk. So I might look and see like I have tomato paste or canned chilies or quinoa. Like I buy quinoa in like a big 3 pound bag. It'll last you like more than a month. Um, or brown rice, same thing. Like any type of non-perishable things, peanut butter, PB2, whatever, what have you. Look and see what I have on hand and see what I can make with those things, and then see what I can add to it. Also looking at my budget. Sometimes it's like I want like a whole new menu, so I might not use any of those things that I have on hand. But if my budget does not call for that week, we have a real talk with ourselves, and then we definitely use what we have on hand. So from there, then I'm like, okay, I have quinoa, I have chilies. If I buy ground turkey, cheese, and like maybe a couple more spices, I can make my quinoa taco bake, and that'll last me 4 nights of the week, or 4 meals worth. That'll be great. Personally, I have a child, so I also take into consideration what are some things that she's going to eat. My daughter does not like spicy food at all, and I love spicy food, so we conflict in those areas. I either have to make half the dish less spicy, or I have to make her something different altogether. So taking that into consideration, like a lot of us are parts of families. Like we either have a family or of our own, we live with the family, or we have roommates we cook for, what have you. You really have to take that into consideration and can kind of add another layer of complexity, which we will definitely talk about on another show because it's a whole other topic. But I take all of those things in consideration, and then I make my meal plan, and then from there I turn my meal plan into a shopping list. I know exactly how much my portion of ground turkey is, and I know how many of those come in a pound of turkey. So I know if I need 4 servings, I need to buy at least a pound of turkey. I do check out the circulars. I recently fell in love with Aldi's grocery store. They are like such like a healthy, like produce, meat kind of like store, and their prices are really cheap. So it's done wonders for my budget, first of all. And then I just feel really good about the brands that they have there. Like I know there's no chemicals. I know there's like the meats and stuff have no hormones in it. I just feel good about it. I feel good about cooking it. I feel good about putting it in my body. I feel good about giving it to my daughter. So it's kind of like opened my eyes to like a whole new world. Um, so I will look at their circulars and see, what can I kind of buy in bulk. So another way to save money when you're meal planning and you're looking at the store circular is go ahead and buy things in bulk. Because you know what you can do? You can either cook it and freeze it, or you can just, stick it in the freezer. Of course, you're going to need a freezer or a deep freezer or what have you to be able to take, really full advantage of it. But you can do the same thing with fruits and vegetables. You can portion them out and then put them in freezer bags, and then you have your little bag, your pre-made like smoothie bag. with your fruit, or you can use that in yogurt, or you can make like really cool desserts like with frozen bananas or frozen strawberries and mix them together. But yeah, that was a really long answer to a really short question, but that's my process.
That's awesome. But I feel like you broke it down in a way that you actually made it seem easier. You broke down each one of your steps, and they're each completely simple steps. Sit down, plan what you're going to eat, see what you have, make sure that you're not spending money unnecessarily. Maybe you can build a meal around what you already have. Go to the store, do your shopping, stick to your list. You know, come home and you're done. You're ready to meal prep. Hey, that's easy.
Do you do anything different that I left out?
So when I meal prep, so similar to you, I definitely use the circular, more so now because for some reason, since I moved down south, I'm just obsessed with Publix. I always have been, and I think it's just because when I was living in the Northeast, they don't have Publix there. And now that I'm back here, that's the only place I ever want to shop. They're just not ever the cheapest. So I definitely use my circular more than ever, or like go and I see what's on sale. And that's where I stick to, because like Publix is the place that you'll go and it'll be like, it's like Whole Foods Junior sometimes. I'm like, why are these 2 apples like $7? That's ridiculous. So it's definitely caused me to just be more budget conscious. But again, there are always options, whether it's frozen vegetables or what have you. I mentioned that I'm a super, super lazy cook. So I am the one person that you will find that can eat the same thing every single day of the week. One thing for breakfast, eat it every day. It's probably my Shakeology. For lunch, I'll eat the same thing every day. For dinner, I'll eat the same thing for every day. For all my snacks, I'll eat the same thing every day. So it's generally pretty easy for me. If I'm being extra lazy, I will choose one meat and I will create all my meals around it. So for example, one week I got, I think they had ground turkey on sale, but it was like a giant 3-pound pack. So it's enough for several meals.
That's the best.
So I made a bunch of ground turkey, used all the same seasoning. So I try to make my own seasonings when I can. So I made my own taco seasoning, and just the whole batch of ground turkey had that. Then I split it in half, and all my lunches for the week were tacos. So using the ground turkey, some whole wheat wraps, and some toppings. That was lunch for the week. And then dinner, I did stuffed peppers, which was awesome. It gave me a little bit of variety in the fact that like I never do anything. Stuffed peppers was the most involved thing I've done in a really long time, because normally it's super simple for me. And it wasn't hard, but I definitely don't cook on that level very much. But it gave me a little something new to try, but it allowed me to stick to my laziness and still eat the same thing every single day. Sometimes I do have to get creative with snacks. Like you, Dava, I'm on a diet that doesn't allow for a whole lot of fats in it, even if they're healthy fats. So, you know, 2 of my favorite snacks are, you know, hummus and vegetables, and then deviled eggs, which I make with avocado. So those are 2 things that I can't always eat in the same day. And so sometimes that's where you'll see my meal plan change a little bit, where, you know, a couple days I might have snacks with one and then switch it off on the other days. But I mean, for the most part, I think my process is a lot similar to yours. You mentioned that you use a spreadsheet to kind of map out everything. I do the same thing. I color code my spreadsheet to match the portion control containers that I use, just so that I can keep track better. Again, I mentioned that I'm currently following a higher protein diet because I'm trying to build more muscle. So I am making an effort to track what I'm eating more. So if it's, you know, 5 different proteins I need to have in a day, 3 different, you know, complex carbs, 4 different veggies, you know, whatever it is, I color code my spreadsheet to match that. And so that's helpful when I'm planning as well as tracking. So kind of going back to last week's conversation.
Yeah, they go hand in hand so well that I'm like, if you do one, you can easily do the other, and it will actually, like, if you do one, it will help you do the other. So you should do both if you're really trying to reach success. And I color code mine as well, and it's funny because we're on these different, slightly varied plans, which I think is great because it's like, hello, get a coach because they can help you tweak your plan so that you can see greater results and faster. So I am trying to lose weight quicker, and I just said I hate eating. So if I need to skip something, I don't skip my protein, I don't skip my vegetables. If I'm going to skip something, I usually will skip a fruit or a carb. I can very easily still eat everything that I'm supposed to and hit my goals, but I know it is important to get the nutrients from the vegetables. I need the protein, I need to sustain life here. And then the healthy fats are actually really good for burning stored fat. So I know I still need to get those in, which is, again, counterintuitive to what some people might think or believe or know. But yeah, I feel like we hit on a lot of good stuff.
Something that I will add that I think that the people who join my healthy eating groups and the clients that I work with in my healthy eating and fitness groups find helpful is, not everybody is like us. We are two people who can clearly eat the same thing all the time and we don't get food fatigue, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are people who aren't like, there are people who cannot eat the same meal day after day. And so I try to be sensitive to that. And so when I work with my clients, I also try to give them ideas on how to change up their menu, but still keep it simple. So Dava, you hit on this a little bit earlier on in the conversation where you mentioned, you can have a meal and you can make a little bit extra and take leftovers and make it into a meal for the next day. So this is something that I try to work on with a lot of my clients who do suffer from food fatigue. So let's say you're having some chicken and veggies and some sort of complex carb for dinner, right? You can make some extra of that chicken and use it the next day for a salad. And so like that's an easy thing for you to plan out over the weekend, Saturday, Friday, whenever you sit down and plan out those meals, you can think through that. Okay, Monday night, I'm going to make a little bit of extra meat and I'm going to use it for my lunch on Tuesday. So that's just one thing that I want to mention because I don't want people to think that meal planning is only doable because we eat the same thing every day. It can work for anybody. You just have to tweak it to fit you. And again, like David said, sometimes you might have to get a coach to kind of help you navigate through that because at first it might seem a little daunting, but I promise you, as you kind of get into the habit of planning, it gets easier and easier. And literally, like, I can change out different foods. I have a list of, different proteins and veggies and fruit, like all kinds of categories that I like to eat. And I just copy and paste every week and just, let me change up this meal and change it. You can make small tweaks and create a completely different meal. So go ahead.
That actually brings up another really good point is that when you get really good at meal planning and you've done it like a couple weeks in a row or, even if you have to do it 2 days, like just plan 2 days, you can break it down that simple. We're coaches and we're used to this, so we do our plans for the whole week. I'm sure there are people out there in the universe that made meal plan for the whole month, and God bless them. I am not that person. But you will come up with this like Rolodex, which I know I'm probably dating myself with that word, but like you will come up with a list of recipes that you can go to and you can switch them in and out. You can have, these are the vegetables that I make in the winter because this is what's in season. And, you can go to your list and be like, I think I'm in the mood for cantaloupe and it's on sale at Publix this week. Winning, right? So you'll come up with a, basically like a recipe book of your own, and you'll be even able to test this with your family. Like, I know my daughter really loves when we do taco night, or, for clinicians, they might really love those deviled eggs or angeled egg or whatever you want to call them. But, that might be their go-to like picnic food that Clinesia can bring to the barbecue during the summertime. Like it'll become easier. And the more you do it, like you'll be able to work in that variety because you have this whole, catalog of things that you can create. Like you've become a master chef of healthy eating in your own house in a matter of what, like probably 3 weeks.
Yeah. Hey, it's not that long at all. And you actually you brought up another point that, so I worked with somebody once, and this was the first time I'd ever heard of something like this. But she does, I guess what she calls like theme nights. And I thought this was a really cool idea. So for every night of the week, she has a different theme. So Monday might be Mexican food. Tuesday might be the night that the family goes to a restaurant. Wednesday might be Italian. So every day kind of changes the theme, right?
I do that.
Oh, you do that?
Yeah, because I'll talk about it in a second. Keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was really cool because it gave her kind of that structure without her, like it kind of set up the structure of her plan, and all she had to do was find a recipe that kind of goes under that topic. So if you know every Monday is going to be Mexican night, all right, let me go, tacos tonight or fajitas tonight, or I found this really cool Mexican style recipe that I want to put in on Monday. It makes it that much easier when you set up some sort of structure for yourself. So I thought that was something that's really cool. But how do you do it, Deva?
I think every kid in America will remember in public school, what was Tuesdays at lunch? Taco Tuesday, right? Like everybody had that, I think. And if you didn't, I'm sorry, you were missing out. But like you knew what your school lunch calendar days were. And the thing that really like invoked is fun. And I may have mentioned this last week, but if you live with a family or you have smaller kids that you live with that you're meal planning for as well, and you are struggling to get them to eat healthy, one of the ways to get them like on board with your plan is to really get them involved. And I've done this with my daughter. She actually asked me if she could be more involved with the planning. She already eats healthy. You know, she's on that. She'll eat what she's fixed and what she's told to eat. But, you know, she really wants to be on board with what mommy's doing and what she sees mommy doing. Like she even just did my workout with me. And Clinesia, I will tell you, she did it. She did upper body with 5-pound weights. I was like, baby, you can put them down if they're heavy. But she was like, I got it, mom. I was just like, I need to reach for myself because my kid is putting me to shame.
It's going to be at 2 pounds in 2 years.
Yeah. So I was like thinking, like, what are some different nights that I can do with my family as far as dinner is concerned so that, you know, we're having something different every night, because I know I like to eat the same thing every day. But I know my daughter does not. Like, she is not playing that. She's like, we had that yesterday. It's still good today. Don't worry about it. So we'll do like, I'm part Italian, so, you know, there's definitely a pasta night. There might even be 2 pasta nights. We talked about, I love Mexican food, so there's a Mexican food night. There is a fish night. There is like a make together night, which I like to do homemade pizzas with my daughter. You know, you're controlling the ingredients. You can make whole wheat dough. You can buy whole wheat dough. You know what's going in there, less preservatives, all that. And then it's fun for them. There was a like a salad night, or like, you know, like salad bar type of night. But those things make it fun. It makes it fun for your family, getting them involved, gets them like on board. They can say like, Mom, I want grapes for snack this week. And, you know, you'll get the grapes and not the blueberries or what have you. But it just is it's just fun. It's structure, which is what we love as adults who are organized and like type A, and we need everything in our neat little rows and our containers and our color-coded spreadsheets. Like, this feels good for us. But for the rest of our family who's not so OCD, they want it to be fun. And you get to marry the two together, which is really great.
Yeah, I definitely love that. And I think that's something that one day when I have a family, I would love to incorporate, just to make it easier for everyone. Not myself, but like you said, it's awesome to get the kids involved and get them excited about eating healthy because they've got a part to play.
Yeah, and like, so what we're going to do with our meal plans now is make a menu. And it's basically like the same thing as having it in a spreadsheet, only now it's going to look, you know, it's going to be an arts and craft project for us to do together, which is a layer of, you can look at it as it's taking time away, but for me, it's something else that we can do together, and it's an activity and it's a craft. So we're hitting on like several different like teachable moments all in one. And my daughter is at the age now where she needs constant entertainment, which is, we're just two very different sides. I'm much more laid back. She's much more like, hi, I'm here. What can I do? Entertain me, dance puppet. So this is something else that we'll be able to do together on the weekends, which I love.
Yeah. And I like that idea of doing a menu too, kind of taking it off your computer or off your pad of paper and putting it somewhere where the family can see it. I know my mom would have loved that when I was younger, because literally after breakfast, my next question was, what's for lunch? And she was like, are you serious right now? But it's like, if I had a menu to look at on the refrigerator, I would have never had to ask that question ever.
Never.
So just for the sheer fact that I just bothered people.
If you're small enough, that can help you learn to read. If you have friends that come over, or if they have food allergies, they can be like, excuse me, Miss Pritchard, like, I am allergic to nuts. Like, I'd hope somebody would have told you that before they got there, but they would, you know, they would see it, or they
Too late, I already planned for it.
Yep. So they can they could, you know, be practicing their reading skills and their comprehension, and they can let them write the menu. They can practice their writing. Like, I know this is a health and fitness show, but it's like we just hit on so many educational like points for them. It's just like, when I was working full time in PR, I was in the city riding public transportation. We used every moment that we had together as learning moments. We would read the road signs that we passed by. We would read menus. We would, you know, talk about the different colors that we saw out in nature, and talked about what's that animal called, what's this, that, and the third. So I'm really come from a background of making everything like a teachable moment, and like really incorporating that education. But that's really what will get kids like more excited about it too.
Yeah. And okay, one last thing about kids and food. One other thing I found that gets kids really excited, and it's kind of just an awesome habit, is kind of grow what you can. You know, you go to the store and buy just a basil plant, something not simple. My mom is really big into gardening. It doesn't matter where she is, if she has a teeny tiny little porch or a whole yard, she will find somewhere to plant something. So that's something that she does with my niece. She will, you know, they'll plant whatever and just see what grows. They had like a tomato plant that they grew. They're working on a strawberry plant now. Like literally anything that they plant it and see what grows. And you know, the things that do grow, you know, the tomatoes, different types of lettuce before, that gets my niece really excited about eating healthy food. And so when we have, you know, plants like that we can harvest and eat, that's something that we try to build meals around for her, so she can be like, okay, well, let me go pick some tomatoes, and you know, let's cook them with this. Like, that gets her really, really excited too. So that's another cool thing you can do to involve your kids, get them excited, and just make sure everybody is happy and healthy.
Those are some of my daughter's favorite memories, and kind of mine too, because it's funny, we were FaceTiming my mom the other day, and she went out onto her deck, and she has a really big garden in the backyard, and she had plants all over the deck, and my daughter could see them in the background. She's like, what's that plant? Like, what are you growing there? And what's this? And what's that? And my mom had like a really big tomato plant, and I grew up in upstate New York, so we try to go up every year, and we go apple picking, and it's not just an orchard, but it's like a full farm, and you can see like, we've been strawberry picking there, we've picked cherries, we've picked raspberries, we've picked snap peas, all different types of apples. She's seen chickens and rabbits, and you know, all of those things make her excited, and she's gonna hold on to those and remember it. I know I certainly did.
Yeah.
And we can get more into this next week, because next week we're actually going to be talking about meal prep. So it's like, once you have your plan, now we'll talk about like different ways to prep for it, because that's another thing that's really daunting to some people. And I know it was for me, because I did not want to be spending hours in the kitchen. And until I learned the tips and the tricks that we'll go over next week, I was spending a lot of time. But now I am like much more efficient. I know what to cook when. But something that you can do with kids, which is kind of fun for them, especially if they're younger, is really pay attention to your plating, and, you know, making those fun shapes and like things when you're, you know, do the faces and make little chicks, and, you know, get the cookie cutter, or they call them sandwich cutters when I was a kid. And they're really hard to find nowadays, but I'm sure they're online rather than in stores. Get a sandwich cutter and cut the sandwich into Mickey Mouse and like all that stuff, especially if your kids don't like crust, even though that's where all the good stuff is. Get a sandwich cutter. It's like Mickey Mouse in your lunchbox and it's awesome. Or one thing that I learned from my challengers in one group was to buy a thermos, which is so old school from when we were kids, Quenesia, is that like every lunchbox had a character and it had a matching thermos inside, and they don't do that anymore. But if you have a thermos, it gives you like a whole new world of things that you can send your kid to school with, which is really important if you have a picky eater, because then if you know what they eat for dinner, you can just keep it warm and put it in the thermos and they can have it for lunch at school, which is
I'm going to use those so differently when I have kids. Back when I was a kid, it was like, okay, what shape of SpaghettiOs do you have today?
My thing was, I think it was either a quarter or like 50 cents, but you could get ice cream like every day at lunch. So did your mom give you money for ice cream or not? Or like, what kind of Little Debbie did you have? Like, Little Debbie was my best friend as a kid. Like, she was part of the family, and it was a problem.
Yep. My SpaghettiOs and my color change and squeeze it. Lunch every day.
So yeah, so next week, 9 o'clock, meal prep. We want you guys to really invite a friend. Like, seriously, invite somebody to come, see the call, join us live. You guys can hop in and ask us questions. You can share your tips that you've picked up along the way, because we really want this to be interactive and we really want to help as many people as possible. So if you've learned anything from this show, we post the recordings on our YouTube channels. You can share them and then invite a friend next week.
Yes, please do. If you thought this conversation was helpful, you will get so much out of next week's. Promise that meal prep is not scary, and by the time we're done with that hour, you will know how to meal prep like a boss. Promise.
I want to see someone meal prepping during the call. That would just like make my day.
Do it?
Huh?
You meal prep on a Tuesday. What?
Well, that's true. So, well, I will say that, little sneak peek to next week, you don't have to do all your meal prep on Sunday or Monday. When I was working, would meal prep only for half the week because, truth be told, my refrigerator was only but so big. So I could only put but so much Tupperware in there. Yeah. So, and then I would meal prep again on a Wednesday for the second half of the week.
Yeah. And more true for people who have families. For me, it was always just me. So I literally could fill that refrigerator with everything I was going to eat. So anyway, more on that next week. I'm so excited for that topic. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. We hope you will come back here next Tuesday, 9 o'clock, and we'll talk to you then.
Have a great night, guys.